Well, a very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David, looking out on what has been a quite pleasant day here. It's getting a bit breezy now, but it's been rather excellent for doing stuff outside today. It's hard to believe how different it is further north for the boats battling their way south. But at the moment we've got 17 degrees. 1026.6 on the bar, about 6 knots of almost northeast, and 80% cloud cover. Just a bit of news before I go to boats. The America's Cup, I'm sure you've caught up with it because we're sort of half a day behind here, but it is now getting exciting because Ineos Great Britain are now 4-2. Two behind. They won the last two races. New Zealand fell off the foils near the start on the race 5, so were really slow at the start, and similarly not falling off their foils, but they certainly had a bit of a slow start in the next race. So 4-2 and getting quite exciting. It's a rest day tomorrow, so it will be Friday their time when it starts up again. So let's have a look. Wind shift are finally getting close to home. They're currently doing 5.6 on a course of 211 at 34 degrees 07 and 17427. They've got 20 knots of northeast, so a good direction. Eagle's wings are a bit ahead of them, so they won't be alone on the Q dock, so that will be good for them to get in. Not such great news for Mintaka. As you probably heard last night, there was just no brightness on the horizon for them, and in fact they have had 4 to 5 metre seas today, 6-second period, with northeast 30, so pretty sporty. I don't think there'll be any gourmet meals on Mintaka. At about 3:30 they were at 2851 south, 17411 east, 6.5 knots on a course of, well, the AIS is 167. I think they're trying to do a bit further southing than that, but the seas are not very helpful, and they are, we'll wait and see what David has to say shortly about their position and conditions and what it's going to be like for anyone else thinking of departure. Zumacs are on their way, but I'm going to leave that until after we finish with the Southwest Pacific and all its misery. Here's David.
All right, good evening. All right, a quick look at the Southwest Pacific continues to show multiple troughs throughout. Heavy cloud and rain on a trough from Tuvalu right through the northern Cooks. That's a real long band. Another very active trough from the Solomons through Vanuatu, and as it heads to Fiji and Tonga, a tropical low actually forms, and its position is roughly 18 south, 18 south, and 175 east. And that forms within the trough. That's not unusual, by the way. Then a stationary front is evident on satellite imagery from 25 south, 160 east, going east, and cutting through 25 degrees and the date line, and then on to 25 degrees, 165 west. Then it arcs off to the southeast. So, in a nutshell, it's rough, it's squally, it's cloudy, it's rainy, and clusters of thunderstorms from 15 south to 25 south. And that starts from 160 east to 165 west. A huge rectangle of plain nasty weather. So, I think right now we'll look right at Fiji Met and Tonga Met and give a quick outline of their forecasts and warnings, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some people thinking about going. So this is coming from the Fiji Met Service, who has A strong wind warning in force over the Osawas and the Mamanucas, southwest Viti Levu, Kandavu Passage, and now in force for the Koro Sea, the southern Koro Sea, and southern Lao waters. Well, it's virtually everywhere, isn't it? And they say that the situation is an eastward moving trough of low pressure. It's just to the west of the group, expected to move onto the group and affect Viti Levu and the southern parts of the group today before it affects the rest of the group from tomorrow. It's expected to clear the group by later Friday, but meanwhile, the trough of low pressure and high pressure to the far south of Fiji is generating strong southeasterly winds over the southern parts of Fiji. So their forecast for midday tomorrow for Fiji waters, Osawas, Mamanucas, southwest Viti Levu, Kandavu, southern Koro, southern Lao, east to southeast winds 20 to 30. That's 20 to 30. Rough to very rough seas, moderate southerly swell, poor visibility in areas of heavy rain. And the further outlook, southeast to northwest winds 20 to 30 knots, rough to very rough seas, and moderate southerly swells. And they have a further outlook, northwesterly winds 15 to 20, moderate to rough seas, and a moderate southerly swell. So let's just run over right now to see what our friendly folks at Tonga have got to say. And I won't go into the details because you that are there and anchored know what's going on. But for the others, Tonga Tapu, there is a gale warning out for Tonga Tapu, heavy rain, flash flood advisory, heavy damaging swells, and extremely high tides. And for the Hapais, same thing, gale warning, heavy rain, flash floods, heavy damaging swells, and again with the high tide. And Vavalu, gale warning, heavy rain, flash flood, heavy damaging swell, and extremely high tide. And for the Minervas, we have gale warnings for both North and South Minerva. So that's the story. Nasty, nasty stuff. Now, there is talk or writing, since we get things in writing, that most of this bad weather might move off and there could be a window to head to New Zealand from Fiji or Tonga on Monday, this coming Monday. Now, what I see is our rather violent subtropical depression, lunchtime Saturday, centered roughly 22 south and the dateline. Seas around the center and between it and Nuku'alofa are forecast 4.5 to 6 meters and winds to 64 knots. Well, that's hurricane velocity, Yadis. So take heed on that one. On Sunday lunchtime, this depression moves nearly south to 25 and 177 west. That's 25 and 177 west. Winds at the east, west, and southern quarters look to be 50 knots. That's 50. 50 knots. Seas 6 meters. Lunchtime on Monday, I'm looking at 3 models for this. Actually a 4th model. They're sort of going along with it as well. But they've got the depression moving to approximately 28 south and 170 west. Seas on the northerly quarter about 3.5 meters. East and west quarter 4 meters. And in the southern quarter 5 meters. Winds from Fiji to Nuku'alofa to New Zealand are southerly quadrant winds, 25 to 30 knots. and seas 3 to 4 meters from the south-southeast. Now this is Monday. This is the day that some of you are thinking about going. Now Tuesday, in fact, does look much better. The depression is basically absorbed by a very rapidly building high, which is going to provide easterlies on Wednesday, northeasterlies early Thursday, and, well, you guessed it, northerlies with the next cold front coming into New Zealand late Friday, which is the 25th, I believe, and into Saturday. So there is a possibility of leaving, in our opinion, maybe Tuesday, but there's not a whole lot of time to get to New Zealand before the next cold front arrives. So, yeah, you rolls the dice, takes your chances. Okay, with that, I'm going to give it back to the chief with more for you.
No, not much more, except Phil, thank you for your addition here from Mintaka. The wind is okay, he says, because it's in a good direction. It's the sea state, which is 4.5 to 5 meters breaking on the tops. So a lot of people just look at your wind direction for each day of where you're going to be, proposed going to be on your passage, but in these situations, it is important to look at the sea state, as David has been mentioning, something that would be more than 3-bag day for the crew, I would say. Actually, talking about bags, I have just come back from being on various airlines, and I always check out the sick bags because I like those ones, you know, being experienced with the use of sick bags. I like the ones with a little metal bit across the top so that you can fold your little offering up nicely and dispose of it. But they don't have them anymore. I've been on various airlines, and you just get the sort of the waterproofed inner bag now with I guess you just have to try and screw it up at the top, not put too much in it. Okay, with that thought, I am going to ask, is that before we go over to Zumax in much more pleasant conditions, is there anybody wanting a radio check or a question, whatever? Please call now. I'm just going to go back to streaming to see if there's any questions. Actually, somebody said on streaming that you can't use your Mac to use the chat on streaming. So if anyone knows how you can use a Macintosh and use the chat on streaming, I would like to hear about it. Is there anybody wanting to make contact? Please call. No, everyone's very peaceful, sitting, enjoying the subtropics. Well, let's see if we've got Zumax, Gulf Harbour. Very nice copy, Anna, and you will be pleased that you are heading in the direction you are and not wanting to come to New Zealand. Go ahead with your report, over.
Our report is we are on position 7 degrees 5 9 south, 1 3 9 degrees 2 7 west. We are on a course of 38 true at the speed of 6 knots. The wind is about 20 knots from the east, and yes, so we are, let's say, we're at about 40 degrees upward wind, so we are reaching, and yeah, the sea state is about 2 meters, a bit short period, so not very comfortable. The Max is slamming a bit on the waves. But everything is fine on board, over.
And a very nice copy from you, Anna, and hi to Paolo. So Zumax 07 degrees 59 south, 139 degrees 27 west, on a course of 038 true at 6 knots, 60 6 knots, 20 knots. I was going to say 60. Gosh, I've got these strong winds on the brain. 20 knots from the east, so they're reaching at the moment 2 meters short seas. So bit of a slam bang going on, but otherwise it sounds very good. So you're off and away at long last, leaving the Pacific. Over.
I well understood all the reports and everything is correct. I just missed your last question. Over.
Yep, no, not a question. Just everything seems to be well for your eventual departure from the Southwest Pacific. So we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Sounds good, and we hope you have a very good trip. Have you worked out roughly your ETA? Over?
We suppose it's gonna take about 30 to 35 days. We expect to do, since we're not doing a direct route, but we expect to do about between 4,500 and 5,000 miles. And there were 3 boats. We worked 3 boats that left this morning altogether. One is more than 100-foot boat, so they're going much faster than we are. And then there is another boat called the Lola with a German solo sailor, and we are more or less going together. Over.
Good.
Oh, well, that's interesting. At least you've got the solo. He'll be happy. A solo, I presume it's a man. I shouldn't make that presumption. But the solo sailor. And, well, the other boat hopefully will be in touch to tell you what's ahead. Yeah, that's a pretty big boat. All right, well, at least we'll be able to find some of you on the AIS anyway. All right, sounds good. And it is nice to have a bit of company, isn't it? Over.
Yes, I have a pretty good copy on you, especially now. The beginning was not good at all, but this is fine. It's common. When I start the radio, it looks like we have to heat up a bit before it gets good. So it's good to wait a bit before talking. Over.
Yeah, roger that. And you're very strong now, so we will stay on 8 for a while until it gets a bit hard, and then we'll move to 12,353. So that will be interesting to see what conditions are like. All right, well, have a good night there. I presume it's dark already there, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, Anna. Fair winds. Over.
Okay, thank you very much, and I will talk to you tomorrow, and I will take note of what is going to be the other frequency when we don't hear you anymore over here. And you said 12353, is that correct? Over?
Yep, roger that. And if it's busy, we'll do 12365. So we'll start 12353. I haven't actually checked what Maritime and others are doing, but then if it is busy, we'll go to 12365. Anyway, I'll write to you about that. Okay, and you're welcome to use this frequency with Y2K whenever you want it. Okay, we'll clear with sailing vessel Zumax on a very long passage. Is there anybody wanting to make contact or try out their radio before passage next week? No, nothing heard. So we will leave you in peace tonight and be back again tomorrow night. This is Gulf Harbour Radio Clear, and the frequency is available for anybody. Cheers all. Well, I've got a lula, and I was just leaning over to turn things off. But yes, well, as you can tell, no problem at all with the radio, and it's a little bit on the light side, but not a problem. So What are your intentions? Hang on, I'm just trying to do something on the computer here, and couldn't do it. But I presume you and Gemma are looking ahead for passage over.
Sorry there, Patricia. Very broken copy. I couldn't hear too much at all. We are currently in Moscow looking at a Monday departure. Hoping this low off the east coast is Oz stays down low. That's our plan for now. Not too much else. We're just watching the weather and hoping to make our way home Monday. Over.
Roger, Roger. So, look at those seas. Look at those seas. You've got a very good, strong copy, Jimmy. It's very difficult receive conditions in Muscat because of all of the boats that are there. But your signal, it came up very strong. So no problem. But do check out the weather, and maybe a day later would be more comfortable. Anyway, the radio is good. Over.
Thank you very much, Patricia. It's amazing. I think it's all the boats, as you said, around Muscat. So hopefully we'll have a nice chat Tuesday, Wednesday, once we're out at sea. Over.
Roger that. And if you can listen to the broadcast tonight on the YouTube, because Monday is certainly not looking like weather that you would want to take Gemma out in. So have a look at Tuesday, Wednesday. All right, we'll clear with Alula. Is there anybody else? Freya, very good evening. You've probably got my email. I'm not sure how you can make comments from a Mac, but I'll leave you to try and sort that one out. But your radio is working. Over.
Yeah, proceed your communication and happy to know you are receiving us. Over.
Yep, roger that. Yep, no problem at all. So we'll see what you decide to do, Todd, and hi to Susan. We'll certainly be here right through every night for the next month or two. All right, good radio. So cheers, and we'll be clear of Freya as well.